Hey guys, you're watching That Tattoo Chick. I decided that a good place to kick off my spiritual body modification series would be with piercing spellcrafting. Um, so, let's get started. Essentially, piercing should be considered a long-term magical working. The reason for this is that chances are that piece of jewelry is going to be in your body for a long time, unless you decide to change it out, which essentially the jewelry will still, the piercing will still be there. But you should definitely consider it to be a long-term magical thing. It shouldn't be something like, I want money now, so I'm going to get this, or I want gratification now, so I'm going to get this piercing. That's not how piercing spellcrafting works. It's something that you are ultimately building up to, and the act of the piercing is just adding energy to a long-term goal. So that's one thing that you need to keep in mind. Another thing that you need to keep in mind is, as far as piercing spellcrafting goes, is the location. Different areas of your body, different piercings stand for different things. And I have a correspondence list out of my lovely Book of Shadows right here that I'm about to go over with you so that you can kind of have an idea of where you should start. So, right now I've just got the most common piercings. There are other kinds of piercings, such as skin divers, subdermal anchors. There's also subdermal implants, different things like that. And you can use your best judgment as far as that's concerned, and what it means to you. All of this is relative, so a lip piercing may mean something different to me than it does to you. And a lot of people just get piercings and tattoos to represent markers in their life. So if that's more the path that you want to go down, then it doesn't mean that it's not just as effective. There are still many places in the world that practice a piercing ritual or a tattooing ritual or a scarification ritual as a rite of passage, as a marker for where a person is in their lives. So that's another cool thing to think about when you're getting piercings. Okay, so first on my list is the navel. And the reason I have the navel first is because it's pretty much the most common piercing that I see come into the shop. What the navel stands for is fertility, abundance, prosperity, sexual attraction, love, and friendship. So this is a good fertility, abundance, prosperity, friendship piercing. So if you want to draw things like that into your life, then that would be the piercing that you get. The next is the ear. And what it represents is introspection, healing, understanding, learning, and knowledge. The ear piercing is a very air element piercing, so it's something that you want to keep in mind whenever you're getting your ears pierced. The eyebrow is for insight, spiritual awareness, breaking illusions, ascension, and enhancement of psychic abilities. I really like eyebrow piercings. I used to have my eyebrow pierced. I don't anymore because I traded it for a dermal anchor. And that's the dermal anchor by my eye has actually kind of taken the place of the eyebrow piercing for me. So, like I said, it's relative. Next is the lip, which represents communication, teamwork, business, creativity, and innovation. Now, there are many different areas on the lip. Mine is just pretty much, in general, just very generalized. So that's honestly why I got my lip ray pierced, is try to enhance my communication skills. So it was actually the first piercing that I got, by the way. The nose represents guardianship, protection, problem solving, and critical thinking. The nipples are obviously fertility, sexuality, abundance, motherhood, that kind of thing. If you're wanting to, it's very much a motherhood type piercing, or a fatherhood type piercing, depending on how you look at it. But anyway, yeah, there we go. The tongue represents communication, attraction, passion, and intimacy in relationships. The genitals, sexual power, desire, passion, fertility, and connection to female or male deity, depending on, whether you're a man or a woman. So there you go. That's pretty much the correspondence that I've got. And then I've got some like random notes here about it. It's actually pretty deep. Actually, I'll just go ahead and read it. Body modification can be a very rewarding spiritual experience. As a form of walking the coals, it is all about pushing the body to its limits, and when coupled with spiritual intent, can be used as a tool to unlock doors in your mind. Your body is not you. In turn, what happens to your body is not truly happening to you. So you shouldn't take anything personally that happens to your body, because ultimately your body is just a vehicle. Let's see. Once you view your body as something personal, mental damage can be done, as you take what someone has done to it personally. Once you free yourself of the illusion that you are your body, you also free yourself of the mental damage caused by physical and or sexual abuse. You should take care of your body as it is the vehicle for your soul and the conduit for your learning experience, but do not mistake it for the sum of yourself. I think a lot of people make that mistake. Someday you will have to give it back to the earth anyway. It is only a borrowed car, so to speak. If your body were truly a personal thing, it would be invisible to others. So it doesn't do to take what happens to your body personally. Pain and pleasure release the same chemicals in the brain. It is just interpretation, that differentiates the two. So, and this is actually something that's commonly practiced as a concept in bondage as well. It's basically using your body as a tool to free yourself of. It's kind of hard to put into words. So, anyway, yeah, basically using your body as a tool to push yourself to your limits, to overcome the body. Because, like I just said, the body is not you. You are not the sum of your body. You are a much more complex thing than just something that eats, breathes, takes a shit and sleeps every once in a while, and goes out and does shit. Like, your body is not the sum of who you are. And I think a lot of people, especially teenage girls, and a lot of teenage guys, make this mistake of equating themselves with their body. Nowadays, you have a lot of people with, eating disorders and just ridiculous stuff. People doing just absolutely ridiculous things, harming themselves, to look a certain way because they feel that defines who they are. And to a certain extent, actually, I'm not even going to say that. It doesn't define who you are. It can express who you are, but it doesn't define who you are. And that's definitely, as a tattooist and body piercer, I definitely am in full support of using your body to express yourself. But it doesn't define yourself. It is not the sum of who and what you are and who and how you think and why you think this way. It is not your experiences. It's not your memories. It's not your decisions every day. It's just you. You are not your body. Everything else is what makes up who you are. So, that's basically all I have to say about that. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I kind of got off topic and rambled a little bit. Sorry about that. Also, a little note here. When you go to have your piercing done, make sure that it's done by a qualified professional. Don't get it done out of somebody's house with a safety pin or whatever. That's so dangerous, and it can cause so many infections, and it's just bad juju. Just don't do it. And even at a shop, you probably need to ask questions such as, ask about your piercer's qualifications. How many places have they worked? Where have they worked? With whom have they worked? How do they do the piercing? Ask if all their stuff is single service and sterile. Ask to, have a walkthrough of the shop. Ask to see their autoclave. That's very important. Ask a lot of questions before you just go and get a piercing, because, it's very dangerous stuff. You can set up infections very easily from an improperly placed piercing, or, there can even be nerve damage done from that kind of thing, so just make sure that the person that, you're going to to have this piercing done is qualified and experienced and is clean and sterile. So, just a little bit of extra tip. Another thing, don't go to get your piercing drunk or high, because that's going to hinder your magical working. A lot of places will turn people away if they're inebriated in any shape, form, or fashion. They won't work on them, but there are some places that will, and which I personally don't agree with. But you know, I mean, it's just not a good idea. Don't do it. You need to be of sound body and sound mind. So, anyway, that's just my advice. I hope you guys like this video. Blessed be.